All right, welcome everyone. My name is Coach David. I am here with egelloC Financial Aid. We are going to be talking a little bit about something that happens a little bit after you get your awards back. And it is going to be about, well, can you negotiate for more money? Is it even possible? Okay. So it is September 10th, right at 5 o'clock, right? If you guys can help me out by putting your child's grade in the chat, that would be great. And we are going to get started right now. Okay. So what we're going to cover today, like we always do, we're going to talk a little bit about financial aid news. We're going to talk about what are the things that you need to be considering when trying to negotiate, right? How to do this successfully and how you create the right strategy. Okay. Now, for those of you that have not met me before, my name is Coach David. I'm a former law school and college admission reader, and I've also been doing financial aid for the last decade and 6 years, so 16 years now, right? And I'm hoping to help, on the coaching side, help your kids get into college, and on the other side, make sure that parents, you guys can afford to send your students there. Okay. Now, just jumping straight into financial aid news for today, right? So, financial aid news. There's kind of two pieces that I wanted to talk about, right? So just recently, I think it was today, there was an article that came out that says that Tufts is the next, or like is kind of another school that has jumped on the bandwagon of providing full tuition waivers for families making less than $150,000 per year, right? So colleges are getting the gist of, hey, well, people need more help, okay? I understand $150,000 is very different in different places, right? Whether you live in California or Wyoming or, Georgia or Texas, right? It's very different depending on where you are, right? But they're basically saying, hey, if you are a kind of, middle class family, we're going to do something to help you. Now, the second piece I wanted to talk about was something that I actually talked about a month ago. Okay. It was about something called scholarship displacement. Okay. Now, I just saw an article today that finally kind of talks about it, right? It's something I've talked about for a long time with families. It's like, if you're at a certain income range, sometimes going for outside scholarships doesn't really help you, right? And the article, I took the picture from the article because obviously, just getting a bunch of words from the article doesn't really do anything. But it was an article from North Carolina, right? And it was actually from, I believe it was from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, like student kind of newspaper, right? And it's basically kind of like highlighting different students that went out on their own, got these scholarships, and then tried to apply them to their tuition, just to find that the only thing that happened was that their financial aid from school was dropped, right? So for those of you guys that don't know what scholarship displacement is, scholarship displacement is when, like, let's say the school is going to give you $10,000 a year, right? But you went outside and got like a Coca-Cola scholarship for $1,000, right? Coca-Cola sends your $1,000 scholarship over to your school receives it. They say, oh, well, we were going to give you 10,000, but you have $1,000 from somewhere else. So now we're only going to give you 9,000, and then the $1,000 from Coca-Cola is going to take that spot. Okay. But basically, a lot of students were surprised that that was happening in their situation, right? They shouldn't have been surprised. And well, if they had come to my seminars, they wouldn't be surprised, right? But a lot of families that are not considered low income for the purposes of financial aid don't know about these things. And again, that's why we're here to try to educate people. Okay. But again, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the world of financial aid. There's a lot of stuff happening just politically, just generally right now, and that has bled over into kind of financial aid and college admissions. Okay. So again, stay tuned, right? We'll see what is coming down the pipeline. Okay. Now, before we get into the training, right, we do have a quick message for families, right? And it is, please don't wait to reach out to us. Now, this is for the class of 2026. Realistically, right, we're kind of like getting to that point of no return. It's like if you don't ask for help now, we're probably going to say no. So if you do have questions for us, I will have a link, a QR code. I will have a phone number that you can text in just a little bit. Okay. But for younger families, right, if you have a, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grader, right, don't wait, right? The college admissions process is not just about making sure that your essays are good, right? The earlier that you work with us, the more that we can do to help your student reach the school of their dreams. So please make sure that you guys talk to us early, talk to us often, and get the help that you need. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Okay. If you do have questions for us, right, this is the phone number. It's 949-775-0865. You can text us college here, and then our team will ask you the questions that we need to know in order to kind of get you to the right program. Okay. You can also use this QR code here to take you to our booking so that you can book a call with us, right? If you're in high school already, well, you need to book a call with us, right? If you're a little bit younger, maybe, end of elementary school and middle school, well, a lot of our students start in eighth grade so that they can get the best jump into high school, their high school years. Okay. So again, I'll just leave this up for 3 more seconds, right? Three, two, one. All right, let's move on. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about leveraging your awards. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand what you are getting. Okay. So when we're talking about awards, right, we'll talk about the timing of them a little bit first. Okay. The first is if you apply early action, early decision, right? So if you turned in everything by the deadlines, right? And the deadlines are usually the deadlines for the application, right? Then you will get an award by the time you get your acceptances sometime in December. Okay. If you applied regular decision or rolling, whatever else it is, right? You might get them earlier, but you should have all your awards by April 1st. Okay. You might get them sooner if it's a rolling admissions decision, so on and so forth. But most schools, regular decision, they come out with your awards sometime in late March or early April. Okay. Now, having said that, I will say this, right? I do see some families in here that have sent their first one to college through us and things like that. For the last 2 years, there have been delays. So even if you applied early action, early decision, sometimes students didn't get their financial aid packages back until April, May, or June. Okay. And if you applied regular, some students got it later, like in July, right? So again, there are delays, there are things going on, but hopefully this year everything gets figured out. Okay. Now, just to give you kind of an idea, right? Now, these numbers aren't accurate. I just kind of wanted to show you a picture of a financial aid award so that you can understand kind of what you're getting. Okay. So this is a kind of an example of an award that you can get, right? If you actually look here, they have different sections, right? So they have like gift aid, right? They have estimated net cost, right? How much loans you can take, so on and so forth, right? But here it very clearly states funds that do not have to be repaid. So there's like a university grant, there's a university scholarship, there's a dean scholarship, there's different pieces of the puzzle, but this person got a lot of money from these kind of free sources, right? Um, for loans, they also had a portion there. Then they also have an estimated remaining cost, right? And so the $16,000, this is what kind of needs to come out of pocket, right? So just keep this image in your mind, right? Now, there's other things too, right? So this is another version, right? This is for University of San Diego, right? This family got the Cal grant, they got the USD grant, the Bill Hannon Foundation scholarship. They also got work study, loans, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what kind of roughly award packages look like when you get them, right? Again, they come in different shapes and sizes, but generally they should have this information on them. Okay, but here are the things that you need to watch out for. Okay, you want to make sure that you look at each of your awards carefully and fully understand what they mean. So scholarships, grants, institutional aid, departmental aid, whatever it's called, you saw that section where it said these funds do not need to be repaid, right? Which is great, which means that it's the free money that we're looking for. But the thing you need to be careful of is that there may be conditions, there may be time limits on these things, right? So I'll just give you another example, right? LMU, right? LMU is a school that, some of our students apply to, right? Now, LMU, if you apply early and you're accepted, there's an automatic $2,000 early action scholarship that they give you. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't kind of think about is, well, the following year, that's not going to be there anymore, right? So that's one of the kind of time limits. It's only good for 1 year, right? There also might be other conditions. You might need to maintain a certain type of GPA. You might have to be in a certain major. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you understand what your cost is going to be per year for the school that you're going to. Okay. If they say they're giving you free money, I wish I could say that colleges in general were like good-hearted. They're not, right? And so you need to be wary at when they are giving you free money because, well, they don't want to give you free money all the time. Sometimes it's just to incentivize you to drop that cost for the first year. Sometimes the price goes up a lot in year two. So that's something that you have to look into. Okay. Now, the second part of the kind of puzzle is you need to make sure that you're playing the game. Okay. One of the ways that I kind of explain this is, for those that watch sports, right? Your student is a free agent, right? They haven't committed anywhere, they haven't signed anything, right? So your student is a free agent until they sign their statement of intent to register, and they turn that in. So make sure to look at your options to see what makes the most sense for your family, right? Financially and personally as well, right? And now, here comes like the most important part. Financial restrictions may play a large factor, right? But there's also kind of other factors that like I'll just kind of generally call them fit that play a large factor in your student's happiness. So there are some things that we have to think of outside of money. Now, I get it. If money is the first and foremost thing that will determine if your student can go to college, then yes, obviously we need to make sure that we are within range. But that's why I think you should be talking to your student about what those limitations are. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Right. Now, I always talk about financial aid being a game of chess. Okay. And so the reason why I say it's a game of chess is because, well, it is not something that is kind of like ever 100% one way or the other. There's always another move to be made. Right. So let's kind of explain that further, right? You do have the power to change your circumstances. Okay. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you leverage your awards here, right? So there is a possibility that you can use another school's offer to reach out to ask other schools for more money, right? But there are restrictions when it comes to like which schools care about each other, so on and so forth, right? So the first thing is that state schools do not care. So it doesn't matter if you got into Stanford or Harvard. UC Berkeley does not care about what offer you got from them. Their cost is their cost. They know that in the majority, I'd probably say like 85, 90% of situations, they are going to be the more financially prudent option. And so they don't really care where else you got in, right? Now, obviously, if you're kind of like an athlete or things like that, things might change a little bit, right? But for a normal academic student, the state schools will not care about that. Okay. The second is that the schools that you are kind of that you're kind of pitting against each other do need to be relatively close and comparable schools when it comes to reputation, prestige, name value, so on and so forth. Okay. So I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to out any schools, but let's say that you take the number one school in the United States and you take the number 500 school in the United States. Let's say that they're both private schools. So that is comparable, right? But everything else is not, right? So the number one school in America and the number 500 school in America, you cannot pit them against each other, right? Now, you might be able to pit number 500, right? And say, hey, I have an offer from number one, right? Give me more money. I'll go to your school, right? But it won't happen the other way around, right? Now, generally speaking, if you are one of those students that got into one of those top schools and you have a good offer, right? Then if you present it to the lower kind of the kind of the lower ranked school, right? They might decide to change their offer. But again, remember, it's not the other way around. So just keep that in mind. You need to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Okay. So a private school and a state school, not apples to apples, not oranges to oranges, right? Number one school and number 500 school, not apples to apples, not oranges to oranges, right? But if you have, you know, general rankings, like if you get accepted at the number 10 school and the number 12 school, yeah, those schools are going to care about each other because they're looking for roughly the same things. Okay. So just remember that your aid is not final until you've looked at all the options and taken every opportunity. Okay. It is an ever moving piece. Okay. I even have students that where we were kind of like negotiating back and forth, right? Even past the deadlines for kind of like kind of securing a your SIR, right? So generally speaking, students need to make a decision by May 1st. But I did have students that were stuck between two schools and they couldn't really make a decision because they really wanted to go to one versus the other, but they just didn't get enough money, right? So we asked both schools for an extension, they granted it, and then we had another 2, 3 weeks to work on it. Okay. And then afterwards, we were continually appealing and negotiating as well, right? Even after we had kind of signed on the dotted line. Okay. So that's kind of things there, right? The other thing that a lot of people don't recognize and don't think about is that there are circumstances that happen to every family, right? At a certain point, right? Whether it's a loss of employment or a change in circumstance or emergency medical expenses, right? So on and so forth. There's a lot of different things that can happen that can change your present situation. Okay. If you do find yourself in a situation where your present situation is changed severely, then you can actually contact the financial aid office to ask for a reevaluation. Okay. The other thing is, if there's evidence of an error on the form submitted to the financial aid office, right? I've had too many families reach out to me and be like, "Yeah, we make $100,000 a year, but we didn't get any financial aid." I'm like, "That's impossible." And then we take a look at kind of like what happened on their financial aid form, and instead of putting in $100,000, they put in 1 million, right? Or they accidentally put in 1.1 million because they put in two ones, right? So there's a lot of different things that can happen, but it's about being kind of like proactive, making sure that the school knows what's going on so that they can see what they can do for you. Now, is it always going to be as much as you need? No, that's not necessarily the case. There still will be some kind of burden placed on the family to kind of come up with pieces of the puzzle as well to pay for tuition, right? And fees and all these different things. But, right, anything that we can save is an additional kind of help to the overall situation. Okay. All right. Now, one of the things I did want to talk about, because we're kind of getting there right now, is kind of the timelines. Okay. So, the first thing that I want people to understand is that, well, parents, I understand there's a lot of families out there that get extensions on their taxes. But normally, right, without an extension, your taxes are due in like your 2024 taxes were due roughly 5 months ago. Right. And then in August, senior year starts. Right. By the end of December, everything should be in. Your college and financial aid applications, they're all due, right? They have different deadlines, right? But generally speaking, by the end of December, everything should be turned in, right? And then after that, in April, you will have all your college decisions and your financial aid awards. This is the rough outline, right? Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between kind of like October and December, right? The FAFSA will open, right? And that needs to get turned in. The CSS profile, if it's required by your school, IDoc, right? There's also going to be additional forms that each school is going to have on their student portals. All of these pieces are going to be things that we need to kind of get done within that 2 month time frame. Okay. So again, from here to here, right? Make sure that you're staying on top of things. Okay. Now, if we're working with you, we'll actually be sending out an email by the end of the week, right? For those that are class of 2026, fill it out, right? And you should be ready to go, right? For those that are renewing with us, right, all you have to do is click that renew button, and then we should be good to go there, right? If you're still not signed up with us and you're a class of 2026, I'm not sure what you're doing, so make sure to kind of get in touch with us ASAP. Okay. All right. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but I want to make sure that families reach out to us for help because I even just this past weekend, we had one of our accelerator weekends, right? One of our summer boot camp events, right? And there was a bunch of families there, and the parents were kind of like standing in the back, right? And then because I felt like they were kind of like looking at me because I was in person. We were in Long Beach, right? They were standing outside, and so I went out and I talked to them. I was like, "Hey, can I ask and can I answer something for you?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have questions about financial aid." And I was like, "Why don't you just walk up to me or ask me or send me an email or this or that, right? Like, why did you wait until now, right?" So the first thing that I'm going to ask you guys to do is ask for help, right? So I'm here to answer your questions. I am here to support you guys in any way possible. Whether you guys sign up for our program or not is kind of irrelevant, right? If you have a question, I'm going to do my best to give you the full answer that I can. Okay. So reach out on Facebook, Discord, email, any way that you can so that we can answer your questions. Okay. We will have a Q&A at the end of our kind of session today as well. So if you do have questions, make sure to kind of let us know, right? Or let me know, right? And here's the thing. Don't go into this blind, right? I've had over the past like 3 weeks, I've had a pouring out of love and support. And the way I feel love and support is if you guys sign up for consultations, right? But I've had so many consultations where people are like, oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I didn't realize this. Oh, well, I didn't know my situation was that complicated, right? And so every family is a little bit different, and so that's why I ask families to sign up for a consultation. I don't care if your income is, it's $500,000 a year. There's probably options for you, right? Now, like I said, if your family's income is over, like $1 million a year, there's probably very little I can do to help you, right? We can definitely try, but most likely you'll probably be getting your money back because, well, we probably aren't going to be successful. But if your income is under that, right? Even if you have high assets, even if you own your home, even if all these things kind of apply to you, right? We should be able to do something, right? So, every year we have those families that are like, oh my gosh, we didn't realize that we were going to get that much. Thanks, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem, right? Just come back next year, right? So make sure that you talk to us before that, right? And here's the thing. I know the form is opening in 20 days, right? That doesn't mean that you have to be number one in line to get things turned in, okay? Um, well, actually, they said they're going to get the form ready by October 1st. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, right? I hope it actually does happen, but if it doesn't, right, we'll have to deal with that once we get there. I'll let you guys know ASAP, okay? But please make sure to talk to us, okay? Now, just some results that we go over every week, right? And I'll have new results kind of that I'll share with you guys as well. But even for families that are in the three, four, $500,000 range, we've been able to get money and make college more affordable, right? Now, I get it, right? You might be thinking, well, that family makes a lot of money. They should pay for college, right? But why leave money on the table if you can get it, right? So I always tell my families, right? There is $2.3 billion of financial aid left every single year, right? All we're asking, right, for some people, they're like, oh my God, well, maybe if I can get a 0.5%, right? Or not even 0.5%, like 0.00001% of that, I would be happy, right? So that's what we try to do for you, right? But literally, there are billions of dollars left on the table every single year that's allocated for financial aid that is not able to be given out because, well, people don't apply for it. I think one of the things I shared last time was that I think last year, I think there was 2.4 million students that were applying for college, right? In the like the last cycle, right? Out of that, only about 1 million students applied for financial aid. That means 1.4 million students, they left, let's just say they left $10 on the table, right? That means that they left over $10 million, right, on the table when they could have gotten a free $10, right? That's two, well, I don't know, maybe 1.5 Starbucks, right? So make sure that you're kind of reaching out to us so we can tell you kind of what the situation looks like. Okay. Now, again, we do have kind of, a quick Q&A time, so I'll definitely open it up for that. Right. But if you are interested in kind of reaching out to us and talking to us, you can text us at 650-860-5201. You can also use the QR code above, right? Fill it out, and then we can have a consultation as well. If you cannot find a time soon and you need to talk to me because you are a junior or like a senior family, please let me know. Send me an email. My email is very simple. It's just like FINAID, like FINAID at egelloC.com. Okay. And then I will help you find a time that works for you. Okay. All right. So we do have some questions, so we'll kind of go over those, right? And then let's see where we get. It says, is the financial aid program for 12th graders only, or do students sign up for each year of college? So the financial aid program that we have is a 4-year program, but we don't charge all 4 years at once. You only sign up for the first year, and then each year after, if you're happy with your package, you come back for the renewal in the years after. Okay, so that's how it works for us. But yes, financial aid, just like your taxes, must be filed every single year. Okay. We also have another question. Is there a limit to the income that you can have and still get financial aid? Generally, I say no, right? Because I've even been able to get families that are over $1 million financial aid, right? Not a lot. I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? Not a lot, but it was a small amount, but it was more than they thought they were going to save, so they were happy with that, right? Generally, the answer is no, but again, higher incomes, 7-digit incomes, usually nothing that we can really do for you, right? Okay. Again, I'm gonna kind of like have this QR code up here, this phone number, so make sure to kind of like either jot some of them down or take a picture, right? But if there are other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Okay. Oh, one big thing I want to tell you guys about. Unfortunately, we will be having a price increase at the end of September. So if you want to lock in your price for your like freshman, sophomore, junior, this would be the time to do it before our prices go up. Okay. We have another question that says, is it easier to get aid with high income, low assets or low income, high assets? So it depends on what types of schools you're looking at, right? So different types of colleges look at different things. The UCs look more at your income versus your assets. Private schools look more at your assets versus your income, right? So it depends on the types of schools that you're looking to apply to, but there should be opportunities across the board, right? And again, I always kind of say like this with a kind of like a grain of salt because high and low are very subjective words, right? If I've had a lot of people come in and be like, oh, like we have very high assets, and I'm like, okay, and I'm expecting like a crazy number, right? But it's more normal, right? I've also people had people come in and say, I have a low income, and I've been really surprised because their income's a lot higher than I thought. Right. So again, these words are very subjective. That's why we need to sit down during a consultation and be like, hey, what are the actual real numbers? Like let's not use generalities. Let's talk about the actual numbers, right? Because that way I can give you a better range of what I think I can do for you based on what I've historically been able to do. All right. So I don't see any more questions. Thank you guys for being here with me tonight, right? If you guys do have anything else, I'll leave this kind of up for a minute or two, right? So that you guys can grab the QR code and the phone number. But if you guys have friends that are, going into senior year, if you have a student that is now in 11th grade, right? This is a pivotal year for you guys because the 2025 tax return will be the tax return that is used for your junior student when they're headed to college. Okay. So juniors, seniors, it's pivotal that we talk right now. Sophomores, freshmen, you have a little bit more time, but might as well sign up for the program if you're going to sign up when it's cheaper. Okay. We are having price increases across the board. Okay. So I'll leave this up for you guys. It was great talking to you guys. If there are any other questions, reach out to us via Facebook, email, Discord, whatever you can. Okay. All right. It was great talking to you guys. I'll see you guys again next week. Bye bye.